Imagine you are a lion on the African savanna. You have not eaten for days. Your pride is hungry. Then you see something huge standing in the distance, a rhinoceros. It looks slow. It looks like easy prey. And compared with a fleeing antelope, it barely moves. So why not attack it? Why would a lion chase a tiny antelope when a rhinoceros can weigh more than 1,000 kilograms? The answer seems obvious. The rhino is simply too big. But that is only the beginning. Because lions are powerful enough to kill animals that are incredibly dangerous. They can bring down zebras. They can overpower wildebeest. They can even attack buffalo. Yet an adult rhinoceros is usually a completely different calculation. And the strangest part is this: the rhino does not need to outrun the lion. It only needs to survive the first few seconds. Stay until the end, because once you understand what a rhino really means to a lion, you will see hunting in a completely different way. A lion does not hunt because it sees food. It hunts when the risk makes sense. Every attack is a gamble. The lion has to spend energy. It has to get close. It has to choose the right moment. And most importantly, it has to survive the mistake. Now imagine standing beside an adult rhinoceros. You are looking at several thousand pounds of muscle, bone, and thick skin. The animal may look almost harmless while standing still, but underneath that massive body is a weapon built for impact. The horn is not just decoration. It can be used to charge, stab, push, and throw an attacker off balance. And the lion knows something even more important. There is almost nowhere safe to grab. With many prey animals, a lion tries to reach the throat, the neck, the nose, or another vulnerable area. But a rhino's body is built like armor. Its skin is extremely thick. Its neck is powerful. Its head is enormous. And its body is low and solid. So the lion faces a terrible problem. How do you kill something that you can barely get a grip on? A lion can bite hard, but biting is not enough. The lion needs a killing position, and getting that position on an adult rhino is extremely dangerous, because the closer the lion gets, the closer it gets to the horn. Think about what that means. The lion's strongest weapon is its jaw, but the rhino's strongest weapon is the entire front of its body. One sudden movement can turn the attack into a collision, and a collision with an animal this large is not something a lion can simply shrug off. But there is another problem. The rhino does not have to win a long fight. It only has to make the lion decide that the fight is not worth it. And this is where the real secret begins. Predators are not trying to prove how strong they are. They are trying to get food without getting killed. That changes everything. Imagine two hunting choices. In one direction, there is a young antelope. It is fast, but it can be killed quickly if the lion gets close enough. In the other direction, there is an adult rhino. It is slow, but getting close could be disastrous. Which one would you choose? The answer is not always the animal that looks weaker. The answer is the animal with the better risk-reward ratio. And rhinos have a terrible ratio for lions. A lion can spend enormous energy attacking an adult rhino. And after all that effort, it may still fail. Worse, the lion could be injured. And for a predator, an injury can become a death sentence. Imagine a lion with a damaged leg. It can no longer chase properly. It cannot keep up with the pride. It cannot attack normal prey as effectively. And suddenly, the problem is no longer dinner. The problem is survival. This is why predators often avoid unnecessary fights. Strength is useful, but knowing when not to use it is even more useful. And that brings us to something surprising. Lions do sometimes attack rhinoceroses, but when they do, the situation is usually very different from a normal hunt. One major difference is age. A healthy adult rhino is an enormous challenge. A young rhino is another story. A calf is smaller. It is less powerful, and it may be more vulnerable if it becomes separated from its mother. That can change the calculation completely. Now, the lion is no longer trying to defeat a massive armored adult. It may be trying to isolate a much smaller target. But even then, there is a problem. The mother is nearby, and an angry mother rhino can be more dangerous than the calf is valuable. So the lion has to make another calculation. Is the calf worth getting close to the mother? Sometimes the answer may be yes. Often, the risk is still too high. And this is where nature becomes less like a movie and more like mathematics. Every predator is constantly calculating. Not with numbers, not consciously, but through instincts shaped by survival. Is the prey vulnerable? Can I reach it? Can I hold it? Can I kill it quickly? How much energy will I spend? And what happens if it fights back? For a rhino, almost every answer is bad. It is not easy to catch. It is not easy to hold. It is not easy to kill, and it can fight back violently. But there is another hidden advantage. The rhino's size itself is a defense. Think about a small prey animal. If a lion jumps on it, the lion can use its body weight to control it. But try that with a rhinoceros. The lion suddenly becomes the smaller animal. That changes the entire fight. A lion may be powerful, but power depends on how it can be applied. A hammer is dangerous, but hitting a steel wall with it does not make the wall afraid. The lion's claws and teeth are designed to injure flesh. A rhino gives the lion very little easy access to vulnerable flesh. And there is something else lions cannot ignore. Rhinos are not helpless. They may have poor eyesight compared with some other animals, but they have strong hearing and smell. A lion trying to approach from the front risks being detected. And once the rhino realizes something dangerous is nearby, the situation can change instantly. The animal that looked low suddenly moves with purpose. Its head drops, its horn points forward, and the distance between predator and prey disappears. Now imagine being the lion. You were expecting a meal. Instead, several tons of angry animal are moving directly toward you. That is not hunting. That is gambling. And lions usually prefer better odds. But here is the fascinating part. This lesson is not really about lions. It is about survival. Because humans make the same mistake when we look at nature. We assume the strongest animal should attack the weakest looking target. But evolution does not reward bravery. It rewards survival. The smartest move is sometimes walking away. The lion does not need to kill everything it can potentially kill. It only needs enough successful hunts to stay alive. That is why predators can look incredibly powerful while still avoiding certain animals. Their power gives them options. It does not force them to use those options. And rhinos are a perfect example. A lion may be able to hurt a rhino. That does not mean it can safely kill one. There is a huge difference, and that difference decides who gets hunted. Think about your own life. You probably have situations where you could fight, you could argue, you could push harder, you could prove that you are right. But sometimes the smartest decision is to walk away. Not because you are weak, because the cost is too high. That is exactly what the lion is doing. It is not surrendering. It is choosing survival. And there is one final detail that makes the whole thing even more interesting. Lions are social predators. A pride can work together. Several lions can surround prey. They can attack from different directions. They can overwhelm animals that would be extremely dangerous alone. But even numbers have limits. If the target is too large and too dangerous, adding more lions does not automatically make the hunt safe. A rhino can still charge. A rhino can still injure a lion. And the reward has to justify the risk for the entire group. This is why a lion's world is not simply about strength. It is about opportunity. A lion can spend its energy chasing prey that runs, or it can wait for the moment when an animal is vulnerable. Predators survive by finding those moments, and rhinos rarely give them one. A healthy adult rhino is basically the opposite of what a lion wants. It is huge. It is heavily protected. It is difficult to control. It can fight back. And even if the lion succeeds, the battle could cost it an injury that affects every future hunt. So when a lion looks at a rhinoceros and walks away, it is not missing an obvious meal. It is recognizing a dangerous investment. The rhino looks like food, but to the lion, it looks more like a trap. And that reveals something much bigger about predators. Survival is not about winning every fight. It is about knowing which fights should never begin. The lion's greatest weapon is not always its teeth. Sometimes it is the decision not to use them. And maybe that is why the most dangerous animal on the savannah can stare at a giant rhinoceros and simply walk away. Because in the wild, staying alive is often less about what you can defeat and more about knowing what is not worth defeating.